Now, before you watch this video, I'd like to say that we have got over 500 videos on Skill Builder, and a lot of them aren't getting the kind of traffic that they ought to. There's good information out there if you only know where to look for it. So go to our homepage, type whatever you like, your relevant word, type it in the search bar and see the videos come up. So a little word of explanation here as we skip through this next section of the Korniche bifold doors being fitted. Now, the reason we're doing this is simply because we've made a specific dedicated video to the fitting of these Korniche bifold doors. You can watch that, and I do recommend that you do watch it. They went in like a dream. The beautiful doors, they slide nicely, and there's nothing not to like about them. So check that video out. The next part that we come to is the roof. Now, here was a saga because we were going to go for a warm roof, and then the neighbours weren't happy with the fact it was going to be slightly higher than the other roof. We decided we were going to go for a cold roof, and then we thought, well, we've got to put all these mushroom ventilators in the cold roof, which aren't going to look great anyway, and they're all going to stick above the parapet. So in the end, after a bit of discussion, it was decided that what we'd do is put 2 courses of brickwork along the parapet to raise the parapet, and then the warm roof could be reinstated back on there. So we start off with 12 millimeters of OSB 3 on there, then we put the vapor barrier down, then on top of that we just put the Celotex, and then on top of that we put the further 18 millimeters of OSB 3. So just one quick point before I continue with this vapor barrier up the side is that you must have this curb, this upstand, 150 millimeters high at least, and that allows for snow on the roof, and it also stops anybody from walking directly onto the lantern. So we've got all the vapor barrier down on top of the OSB. It's very, very important that you seal this round. You take the time taping it up, making sure no little crevices, no little cracks, making sure that there's nothing where the vapor could creep through and get onto the underside of the top layer where we're going to put our fiberglass. So if you do that, if you take care with this detail, you'll avoid trouble for the future. So now all I've got to do is finish off with the insulation. Then we put our top 18mm OSB 3, which is the water resistant variety of OSB. Flat roof manufacturers say use OSB 3, don't use plywood, because the problem with plywood is it can delaminate. In general, and I'm talking about pound for pound, the value that you get out of OSB is that there are no voids in it. If you compare that to a sheet of plywood, then you'll find that you'll get better consistency in the OSB than you will in a similarly priced sheet of plywood. So this is a good day. This is a good day because it's not raining and the fiberglass is going down. First coat going on today, second coat going on tomorrow. So the boys are cracking on with it. We managed to dry the roof out. There are a couple of little wet spots, but it has dried out quite nicely now with a hot air gun, and I'm just chasing around doing all the bits that I should have done weeks ago, but you know how it is. I wasn't really sure how to finish some of the bits off, so until they came along and gave me a bit of advice, I wasn't sure what I was doing. But now I'll just get these bits finished and they'll be done. They'll be done and still in the sun. We've got a YouTube channel. It's called Skill Builder. Now at this point I would like to say that every time I've done this job in the past, I've used the tongue and grooved OSB 3 because it comes in nice sort of 8x2 sheets. You can put it down very easily and it interlocks nicely, and a lot of the GRP manufacturers recommend the tongue and groove sheeting. So when I went to get it from the local merchants in this particular neck of the woods, I found that they'd never even heard of it, and they actually sent chipboard instead. And so we kind of did a bit of fishing around. We found nobody in this area stocks tongue and groove OSB 3. So I spoke to the GRP guys and they said, no, we don't use that. We just use butted sheets 8x4 OSB 3, butt it up, and it's absolutely fine. And I didn't really like that idea because I've never done it like that. And I always think the tongue and groove is a better bet because the resin goes down in between the tongue and groove, locks the whole thing nicely together, and I just think it's a better overall job. But there you are, they wanted to do it this way, and I've got to say there have been no issues. There's no bounce on the roof, there's no laps, and there's no joints which are embarrassing or likely to crack. So maybe it's your preference, but for me, every time I would go for tongue and groove OSB 3, and it's very important that when you put that down that you leave an expansion gap around the edge, because buildings move, moisture in and out, you know, it's gonna expand and contract slightly. We're only talking about a few millimeters, but if you don't do that, if you don't have a sort of 10 mil around the edge, then you could get trouble in the future. You have been warned. Nice job, the guys did very well, very experienced at doing it, and I think it looks a treat. And we've had a good few rainstorms since this went down, and it's been perfectly all right. It's got nice falls on it, works well into that box gutter, and what's not to like? So come back to see us in the next instalment of the Orangery, where we put that Korniche roof lantern on. Beautiful.